Ladies and gentlemen, big hairy news.
Hey, kia ora koutou e te whānau. Welcome back to another edition of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Chewy. How are you, love?
Kia ora, Pat. How we
Everyone
doing?
doing well? I'm doing well. You're doing well. Craig Renney's joining us tonight because he's been nerding out over numbers and has found something in the LNG, is what it's called?
Yeah, LNG.
LPG? LNG,
No.
is that right? I keep thinking
LNG.
LPG.
As I was told last night, and I've educated myself, LPG is something completely different. And it comes from a
Liquefied
different place.
petroleum gas. When I was a student, I used to work at a petrol station and we used it, but LPG, LNG. So Craig's found a little bit of information in the LNG report. When I was talking to him this afternoon, it seems like he was saying that no one else has seen yet. So we could have a bit of an exclusive for you, of course, because he is part of the Labor election dudes. I think that's the official title. He may well have given it to them as well, and they might be talking about it right now in a meeting. But yeah, if it hasn't been talked about yet, we might have an exclusive, but I'm sure it'll be talked about tomorrow. And it's all to do with how much LNG is going to cost and what the model they did to compare it to. Wait for Craig to come on board with that. He's going to join us at about 9:30. He's probably driving home as we speak from Parliament, I believe. Okay, have an announcement and an apology. I want to say hello and welcome to our lovely new patrons. Mark, Te Arahi Harris Birch, Mel Gutsa, Paperclip 13, Adam McKnight, and XSO. Lovely patrons that you all are who have joined up in the last kind of couple of weeks, 10 days, couple of weeks. I said I would remake the credits today. Well, funny story, whānau. You know how I told you the story in the first week we were back, Chewy, how I spent a whole day, literally 6 to 8 hours, going through everything and absolutely making sure that I had all the cleared off.
Yes.
Oh, actually.
It sounds very thorough.
Yeah, well, it's gone.
It's
That
gone.
new
Okay.
that new saved
So
one
it's
is
just
gone.
gone.
I've got
It's
the
gone.
I've got the original. I've got the exported file, but the actual working parts are gone. So, long story
You
short,
heard it here first.
I'm
Don't
gonna
go
have
to
to-
homework.
I'm going to have to do the whole thing again. So these people who I'll shout out again: Mark, Te Arahi Harris Birch, Mel Gutsa, Paperclip 13 from the Clan Clip 13, Adam McKnight and XSO. You will not see yourself in the credits tonight. I apologise. When I was on holiday and I had 8 spare hours during the day, I remade the credits. I'm going to have to remake the credits again. So that might be happening in the weekend. So apologies. You've had 2 shout outs. I'll give you another shout out when we fix the credits as well. Okay. Lots going on tonight. I tell you what, this media is interesting. These media cats are interesting at the moment because they're doing our work for us. Levy, not a levy. It was a levy yesterday. Today it's not. The Trumpian phrase from Mr. Luxon, the electricity companies will pay a levy, is exactly the same as China pays the tariff. It is exactly the same because guess what happens when China pays the tariff? The costs get passed on to the consumer. Guess what happens when the electricity provider pays the levy? So it's very, very funny. And the media, I've got at least 2-3 minute clips, which is just clipping backwards and forwards of all the things that were said and now are being said. And I think that Simon Watts is the minister getting really pissy with the reporters going, I've answered you 3 times. And they're all going, yeah, but this is really weird because you're saying nothing's changed, but yesterday you were calling it a levy and today you're not. And nothing's changed. So we kind of want to ask you again to make sure we're clear. Hilarious. So we've got some frivolity to be happening, but we've also got some seriousness when Mr. Renney comes along to join us. and talk through all of the important things. So not the stuff we're talking about, but the actual important things. So doing that tonight, that's kind of a two-hander because we've got the Craig stuff and we've got the pre-recorded stuff. Also, Chippy on Moa Point, much like us last night, pointing straight to Three Waters, and good on him. Of course, we'll say it here. Three Waters would not have stopped Moa Point because the system wouldn't have been fixed by now. But what Three Waters would have done was giving you a definitive answer as to how this is going to be fixed when, which they don't have. So yes, all those naysayers out there, it may still have happened with Three Waters, but then they would know that this is being solved this way by this date. And in fact, if Three Waters was in place, I dare say they could have perhaps changed the schedule and maybe juggled some things in Wellington, and maybe parts of Wellington that aren't quite so immediate need could have been put on the, not the back burner, go away, but rescheduled, and it could have come into Moa Point more quickly. So fucking good on Chippy for that. That's like exactly what you need to do. These arsonists came in, they burnt everything down, and then they tried to start up things that they say were better, but ended up kind of doing nothing. Good water done well. Can you explain when that's kicking in and why? Yeah. And then, of course, just for you, actually, Chewy, a not so sunny ending today. A not so sunny ending for Mr. Cashel in the crime stat keeper looker as honors, those people. And I'll tell you what, there is a heap more we could be talking about, which may come up tomorrow night. Winston Peters telling reporters they're stupid for asking him about his trip to Saudi Arabia to watch Joseph Parker. And then they look at all that. You're looking confused. You know what I'm talking about? Have you heard this one?
No.
So Winston Peters...
Did Winnie P go on a junket?
Winnie P, no baubles of office, Winnie P, saw Joseph Parker fight in Saudi Arabia. He is now saying he was in Saudi Arabia for other things, and he happened to catch it while he was mostly over there for the racing industry, because he's the minister of horsies. And he caught, Joseph Parker while he was here. However, the Official Information Act shows something very different, that at midday, Mr. Peters was invited by Joseph Parker to Saudi Arabia to see his fight. And at 5 p.m. that same day, his office was looking to get him to Saudi Arabia for other reasons, just a coincidence, of course. And then you delve further into the information from the overseas. No, I'm not going. And they're saying that the horse racing stuff was a nice to have to maybe check out while he's there seeing Joseph Parker.
Oh, that's fine. Everybody knows. Everybody knows this, Pat. Maybe you're not a seasoned traveller. But picking up airfares the day of, always spectacularly good value for money.
Just so you're clear, and everyone else is, I'm not saying he bought for them the day of, but he was asked at midday, and at 5 p.m. they were putting in requests to get him over there. But it was nothing to do with Joseph Parker, apparently. And there's heaps of stuff. I see Bomber tonight talking to Debbie as well. I haven't had a chance to listen to that. So there is a lot we could be doing tonight, and some of those things might slide over until tomorrow. I've got 3 or 4 requests at the moment for interviews out there as well. So there's we're back into it, Fano. We're back into it. Chewy, anything you want to mention before we...
I just want to say I spent the day tearing into this LNG thing. As people have been pointing out in the chat as well, the difference between LPG and LNG. LNG is just a fancy name for methane.
Yeah, right.
That's what it is. And that's why we have a company called Methanex turning it into methanol, which is a cheap commodity sort of thing. And as we mentioned last night, Methanex use half of our methane production. So they've already announced that they're sort of closing shit down next year. Why don't they just move it forward? Just put off the problem. This gas thing is a house of cards, and people have been cacking at it today. It has fallen apart.
Yeah.
The government's on the defensive. Everybody else is on the attack. And the only defense I can see for it is the national Facebook bots just basically going, it's not a tax though, it's a levy. Guess is good actually. It's so shoddily put together. I can't believe that these guys thought it was a win.
I think I'm just texting Barbara Edmonds because I just thought of something. Did you see the in the House today when Nicola Willis called her Barb? So in the House, and Barbara Edmonds said, "Mr. Speaker, I object to being called by my nickname." And so I'm texting her right now saying, "Why didn't you say so? If Nikki No Boats would retract that, I would appreciate." She had the perfect opportunity, the perfect opportunity to do it.
Oh, could you imagine?
So could you? Barb should have said, "So I would either like an apology and a withdrawal, or is Nicola Willis okay with us using Nikki No Boats next time we're referencing her?" That would have been.
I'm pretty sure that if that had escalated any more, that both of those honourable members would be handing their earrings to someone else and climbing over the
literal handbag at 40 paces.
Yeah. I'd be straight. And I don't think Nikki would win that one.
Well, Barb's got 8 kids, and if you've got 8 kids, you're going to win every fist fight, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean.
I still kind of go, that feels like 7 families have moved in together, 8 kids. Holy moly.
I bet Barb's got hands when it comes down to it.
What we'll do then, because Craig's due to join us at 9:30, but he is driving home from Parliament, so we'll give him some flexibility there. So we might start off with a shorter story first, and then we can go into the LNG conversation and show some of the clips, and then Craig can join us partway through, and he can share his exclusive news with us as well. Before we do though, let's start the show as we mean to continue by you guys giving us money. See what I did there? That was a bit of a joke. Citizen Gold says 257 days to register, 270, and we ditch the pricks for 26. I'm getting emails from people asking for that t-shirt. We are doing a day of merch tomorrow. So people who have merch orders in, we're putting them all together tomorrow and sending them out. And I've got at least 3 designs we're working on. And yes, Ditch the Pricks is one of them. I keep saying it differently. Did we say Ditch the Pricks in 26? That was it, eh? That was the actual. Yeah. I think that's what we're working on. And some other ones about some more some cooler versions of BHN and maybe even Chewy doing dumb shit so you don't have to since 2021, or doing dumb shit since 2021 so you don't have to. I think that's what it is. So will
we see a return of if the left vote, the left win?
Oh, that's not a bad idea actually. Yeah, because that's not on the thing. Except when we did it last time, we used just American typewriter. Maybe because we've got the tax wealth, not work ones, and then we've also got the fuck around. Maybe we'll do one in that lettering because that would work better. Okay, another one that's potentially 3 or 4 new designs on the way. All right, very, very good, very, very good. Just to make us an extra $8 next week. Excel Deer says Nat, no new taxes, got caught out. Did they what? Oh my gosh!
It's a levy. It's a levy though.
No, it's not. No, but it's not. This is what Simon Watt said. It's not a levy, but you said it was a levy, but it's not.
But
it's
it is charge. A levy. Let me look it up in a dictionary. It says a levy is a form of tax. Ah, fuck!
That's what Chippy did in the House today. Literally exactly that. Levy work less, levy wealth more. Peter, like that. Well
Everything's a levy now.
Arrogant wokester loser. You fit right into our demographic. We've got quite a narrow demographic, but that's about, you are our, in radio term, you are our psychographic viewer. When you worked in radio, you had a psychographic listener, and the psychographic listener was a single person. When I was at Moa FM, it was something like a 32-year-old female. Like they programmed to a psycho. So arrogant wokester loser, you are our psychographic viewer. We're programming to you specifically. Looking forward to the election and the capital gains levy being enacted. That's even better because that's hilarious. I hadn't pre-read that, and I made all that fuss about your name, and your comment was even better. Well done, and thanks for the super chat. Oh yes. Gargle my piss mug when. I ordered 600 mugs. When we get to 300 sold, And I'll have a look. I can have a look tonight. We're probably well over 100. I will reorder. And yes, I can understand some people have also asked for dishwasher safe ones. I'm aware of that. That's a desire. So I'll probably even change that out and do some other ones. So gargle my piss. Yeah.
Gargle my piss.
Yeah. It would have to be yellow.
mugs.
Yeah, yellow.
They have to be yellow.
With like green font. Yellow with like this kind of green font. No? Maybe?
Yellow and green to Australian.
Yeah. What colour would the text? White? White
Black.
on yellow? Black. What? No, but see, I think green and I think
Strong-
asparagus. Because then it would
strong
smell as well. You could smell the cup from a distance. You go, we can't have this going on. Hey, we get to do stupid things. What did I just say? Doing dumb shit since 2021, so you don't have to. Mostly thanks to our patrons. I've told you this year the Patreon's going to change. It's going to be more active. It hasn't been very active in the last couple of weeks purely because of Waitangi and that. So if you already are a part of what we are and what we do, and thank you to the people who have joined up in the last few weeks, we thank you. We have a lot of big plans. I'm so excited to tell you about the plans. There is one little hurdle we need to get over. It is a financial hurdle, and it could be getting solved in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So if we get that solved in the next 1 to 2 weeks, oh my goodness, have we got some announcements for you as to what's happening this year.
We have told this to people, right? That's you're referring to us joining the Taxpayers Union, right?
Free Speech Union, Taxpayers Union, BHN.
Yeah, Free Speech Union. The money taps are open.
Yeah. And sponsored by Atlas. That's what we're doing. Which they already are, so, kind of is. So honestly, whānau, I've got so much I want to tell you, but I won't. It's like that classic thing that when you announce someone's coming up, they don't never turn up, unless they're Craig Renney, because this is the place he wants to be more than anywhere else in the world. And also, there was a genius photo that we got of Chewy last week, which is now on the BHN website. And can I say, Emily, if you're watching, well done on the little pixelation as well. I laughed
so much when I saw it pixelated.
I think it's both hilarious, and we have had a strike by YouTube before for showing a hairy back that they thought was a hairy bum, but it was a hairy back. So I did wonder about that one right beside it with Stephen Joyce. I guess it's blurry, so it's already sort of semi-pixelated, but that made me laugh as well. And Chewy, where are they? Have you got them in the background now, those two things?
I just think it's so good. I love it when it's pixelated and you're like, whatever could that be? Thank God I can't see it. My morality is saved.
So the shop at the moment's got a bunch of stuff going on. Because I've mentioned it, I should say to you, basically we're selling our mugs super cheap at the moment because we can, and we want everybody to have them. They are only $12.95, and being really honest with you, they basically make us no money. I mean, if you include the time that we put into packing them and sending them, they're kind of a break even. But because people asked for them since day one, we just thought, let's just get them out to as many people as possible. And look, you can get those, and then you can get a Gargle My Piss one in probably 6 months. They did take a long time to come. So if you're going to sit back and wait for other ones, don't, because they could be a long time to come. Of course, we've got all our favourites here as well. Our enamels are in there. Someone bought another full house today, so there you go. And those stickers look like that they're superimposed, but they're actual photos I've taken on a blue background. They do look like it's just photoshopped, like stuck onto a blue thing, but they're actual photos. You can see that one. That one's a bit curved. Actual photos on a blue background that I took. I've got one of those white boxes that you can look down the top of and take photos. And of course, t-shirts and hoodies are always there. And yeah, Chewy, maybe the tax wealth. No, not tax wealth. What is it? If the left vote, the left wins. I wonder if we can get it into that design. If the left vote would be red, or could the left be red? If the left and red vote, the left in red win. Maybe that's better. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll have a plan.
Use less word.
Yeah.
Why use many word when less word do?
Left vote, left win. Left vote, left win. All right. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention before we kickstart the show off, Joey? Is there anything else we need to?
No. Let's go. We've had almost 20 minutes of preamble. You're now hydrated.
Holy shit!
Yes.
Let's have a listen to Chippy's going to feature a couple of times because he got asked on breakfast this morning about the LNG as well. So we'll give him twofold. We'll start off with the conversation. Oh, actually, you know what? If Craig's going to be here in 10 minutes, let's start on the LNG because we can do the stories and stuff, and then he can join. Let's do that, and we'll come back to Chippy on the thing which I just said the thing of. And we'll start with LNG. So Chippy was on breakfast this morning, and a part of the conversation he was asked about was the situation with the LNG and what he thought would happen. This is what they had to say on breakfast this morning.
Okay, let's move on to this new LNG gas facility that was announced yesterday evening. It's going to be in Taranaki, going to cost around $1 billion. Do you support this move?
Yes, I do. That's what I thought he was going to say. Because Christopher Luxon is a modern genius. I think that's the answer. You want to make a guess for the answer, Chewy, before we play it? That's what I think the answer is going to be.
He's going to say no, but he's going to say it's straight. He's going to keep it real.
What's he going to say? Fuck no. Or he's going to go,
hell no.
No whizzle my jizzle, something like that? No?
Yeah, something
right,
like that.
We'll keep
that
going.
sounds Chippy down to a T.
I don't support this. I think this is a bad decision that's ultimately going to cost every New Zealand household more money because they're going to pay for it with a new gas tax that every household in New Zealand is going to end up paying.
And as you said last night, Chewy, gas tax. Gas tax, gas tax, gas tax.
Gas tax.
Ute tax, gas tax. If you get to call that a ute tax, then this is a gas tax. I thought you were going to say something. Yep, go.
Yeah. I like the fact that it's a tax on all electricity users, not on the users of the gas.
Yeah.
Like it's so stupid.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
What would your government do instead?
Oh, government? What? Hey.
Sorry, if
There
your
are other
party,
options.
I apologise, I
Slip.
misspoke.
Oh,
What would you do if you were in
TVNZ's
government?
left.
There are other options. We're going to be setting out an energy policy in the next few months that does show the alternative pathway forward. It involves more renewable energy. It involves helping households to lower their bills. Solar can be a big part of that. Batteries in households can be a big part of that. There are other options that the government have chosen to reject.
So you wouldn't be going down this gas route at all?
Asked and answered. Move on.
Gas is a fossil fuel. It's a fuel of the past. There's every potential that this is going to end up being a $1 billion white elephant. If the business case for this stacked up, they wouldn't be having to levy New Zealand households to pay for it because the private sector would be rushing in to build it themselves. The fact that they're not and they're
100%.
relying on government subsidies shows that this is a bad idea.
Beautiful answer, actually. We hadn't talked about that last night. If it can't sustain itself, party of business, we don't do welfare, we don't want to give subsidies, then why isn't the government just going, yeah, hotty mate, come businesses, set yourself up, cover all the costs and get going? Yeah, interesting. They need subsidies, Chewy. Anything to add? Because I need to go and send Craig an invite, which I forgot to do.
Okay. Look, he's saying that there's more energy announcements to come, but certainly there's some strong indications of which direction he's heading. Like specifically the mention of home batteries, and I hope it is something like what they're doing in parts of Australia, where it is a subsidy to home batteries, because even if you don't have solar, batteries are useful because you can charge them on the night rates and use them during the day. And the power companies can park excess generation in your batteries and pull it back when they need it. It's an often overlooked plus of getting batteries.
Second part of there's three parts of that conversation, which we're not doing now. I forgot. Sorry, we've moved on, haven't we? Because we're doing the tax levy. Let's have a look at the actual story on One News tonight and what they had to say about the LNG and the idea. And there has been a lot of hubbub about this. It's the official technical term. That's not too highbrow for people, because we can see the holes. We can see them, and if we can see them, anyone can see them.
Is it a tax, a levy, a fee, or none of the above? Plenty of hot air blew through Parliament today as politicians debated how the planned natural gas terminal in Taranaki will be funded. The big issue, will consumers have to pay for it, and how much? Political editor Mikey Sherman has more.
Dust off the playbook, it's election year and the tussle over tax is back.
How does introducing a new gas tax that every New Zealand household will pay every time they flick on a light switch help them with the cost of living?
What a load of rubbish, and the member clearly is not understanding what this proposal is actually about.
Is it a tax, a levy, a fee, a charge?
What is a tax? Is a capital gains tax, a wealth tax?
Yeah, but the difference is Labor will say, yes, a capital gains tax is a tax. You are correct, Mr. Prime Minister. We're not debating whether ours is a tax. We're debating whether yours is a tax. Would you like to respond, sir?
Death tax.
National's new energy levy leading to a doozy of a debate
Does he agree then with the Cambridge English Dictionary?
over definitions.
The definition of a levy is, quote, an amount of money such as a tax.
It's somewhat semantic, and I just say to the member that what we're doing is lowering power bills.
I just think it's farcical.
But you're not, though.
It's a tax. It's an increase in tax.
Yesterday, the government proposed plans for a new import facility for...
This is so embarrassing.
Oh, it's dreadful.
This
I played
is
this to one of my workmates today.
the worst.
And he's like, is this real?
Yeah,
And
that's
I
what
was
people
like,
are doing now, eh? AI.
liquefied natural gas. Located in Taranaki, it'll be funded by a levy on electricity companies.
The advice that we've had is that it saves $50 per household per year.
The project...
Where
Let
did
me put
the
that-
advice come from?
Yeah, and let me put that into context, right?
The
People.
gas company?
Think about the time of year when you pay the most for your power, probably winter, hundreds of dollars, hundreds. I mean, there wouldn't be many people that would get away in the middle of winter, let's say in a colder climate, South Island, with less than $200, $300, $400, $500. They are putting a cornerstone policy, a way to turn the economy around and win you over by saying, here's $4, $50 a year. Now, what you give up for that is the risk to the natural environment, the profits going offshore, the being tied into a system where we are then reliant on an American business for our security when it comes to our energy sector. But here's $4. And remember, not $4 for everyone. If you're a family of four, you can have $1 each because it's $4 a month per electricity payer. Yes, I shall keep going.
is expected to cost north of $1 billion, with the levy between $2 to $4 per megawatt hour.
Can you give Kiwis a cast iron guarantee that that levy won't be passed on to them in their power bills?
Nope.
That levy will be charged to electricity companies.
And it won't be passed on to consumers?
Because of that facility being created, New Zealanders will have lower power bills.
In terms of your...
By $4
By magic!
By $4 a month. And just remember this, I'll say it again. Donald Trump, China will pay the tariffs. It won't be put on the American people. It's exactly the same as the levy will be put on the electricity companies, the gentailers. Because when you charge a gentailer something extra, they then have a fiduciary responsibility to maximize their profits for their shareholders, so they must pass that on. So yes, Donald Trump tries to convince the Americans that tariffs aren't going to impact them financially, is exactly the same as Luxon trying to convince you that levies aren't going to impact you. Exactly the same, like literally the same. Not, it's in the same ballpark. It is exactly the same.
Your question there, Mikey. I'll quote from Nicola Willis directly. It's a quote you might want to go back and find. If it looks like a tax, if it quacks like a tax, it's a tax.
Well, it's a charge that electricity companies will pay so that consumers pay lower power bills.
But even the coalitions...
So he's saying that the gentailer will pay extra and charge less. Does that sound like the government of business, the government of capitalism, having businesses make less and consumers pay less?
Well, they must be, if this is the case, they must be going in and telling the businesses how to run their business, which doesn't sound like small government, let the market look after itself now, does it?
Well, no.
Does it, Mr. Luxon?
He will not answer the question about that Mikey asked about guaranteeing that they won't pass it on because
he
of
can't.
course they will. Are
you telling me, Mr. Luxon, the Jen Taylors that are currently got 80% margins to deal with, that are just putting our prices up and still making record profits and increasing profits, you think they're going to go, we won't pass this on. We're good guys. It's not going to happen in a million fucking years.
All right, we'll get to the end of this, and then we're going to bring Craig in and play one more clip before we get his research from today.
At odds.
In the case of the levy that's been in the news today, it is a levy.
Your initial payment is a tax. Those are the facts.
Question remains, Minister, does it quack like a tax?
No, because it will reduce costs to households. It quacks like a tax when it adds...
So their theory is if you pay a tax, it adds to your costs. So when you're taxed for your roads, what she's saying is you're also going to get tolled because that road's going to come from out of your tax and then it's going to cost you more.
Wind it back again. I might have a different interpretation here.
No, because it will reduce costs to households. It quacks like a tax when it adds to your cost.
We should not be wasting our time here.
Quacks like a tax when it adds to your costs.
So it's not a tax if it reduces costs to households.
Correct.
So if they say increased tax to make public transport free, not a tax, reduces costs to households. If they increase income tax to make childcare free, not a tax, because it lowers costs. What? This is our Minister of Finance.
Minister of English. Sorry.
What
English
the
graduate.
fuck nonsense is this?
All right, let's get to the end
I'm
of
sorry, but if you vote National and you are going, I think this is a good idea, this all stacks up, the business case is really good, I'm comfortable with it being a levy. You have a soft, spongy brain that is perfectly smooth, and it's the only explanation I have for why people still support National.
And we wouldn't trust you to sit the right way on a toilet seat. Let's get to the end of this. Here we go.
God.
We should not be wasting our time here with different sort of language trying to explain things away. It's a tax.
You don't accept that it's a tax?
No, this is about lowering power bills across New Zealand.
Not the question. Is it a tax?
Great tax debate flaring up, and it's only February. Mikey Sherman, One News.
Now, I've got two other clips to play. We're definitely going to play one of them because it's hilarious. Watching, I think it's Simon Watts, squirm like a squirmy thing. But let's grab Craig first, and we'll all watch it together, and then we'll get to Craig's information. We'll do that, shall we? Craig Renney, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Furious all the time. So
in other words, nothing's changed, Craig. Welcome back. So you've been at Parliament today, and you've got yourself home, and you've just watched the end of that clip with us. I am definitely wanting to play this next clip. I have two other clips, but this is the one that we must play. We'll play it now. We'll watch it together, and then we want to talk to you about what you've discovered today, because this is Simon Watts. I'm saying the right name, Simon Watts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because power.
He
Watts.
gets so pissy with journalists asking him the same question. And because it feels to me the journalists are going, but you're saying nothing's changed since yesterday. But yesterday it was a levy, and today it's not a levy. And Winston Peters says it's a tax, and Mr. Luxon won't say what it is. He just keeps repeating like a repeating thing that it's going to lower costs. And we don't understand. So it feels like to me they're actually going, this makes no sense. So yes, we're looking for clarification. This is 2 minutes 15. You'll enjoy this if you haven't seen it, Whānau. Good on your stuff for cutting this together. There's several interactions with several people here, several politicians here.
As revenue.
Oh, was it start? Here we go. We'll do that again.
As Revenue Minister, what's the difference between a levy and a tax?
Well, in what context are you referring to?
An LNG levy, a capital gains tax.
How about a dictionary definition? What about that context? Just the difference between it, please.
The reality is that what we've proposed is neither of those. It is a net savings to Kiwi households as a result of energy.
So today, it's not a levy or a tax. It's something else.
Paying more on my bill as a saving.
I think this clip. I think this clip does indeed show Mr. Luxon stopping the debate yesterday at the podium and going, "It's not a tax; it's a levy." And Minister Watts today is saying it's neither.
So you're referring to
an LNG levy, a capital gains tax.
The reality is that what we've proposed is neither of those. It is a net savings to Kiwi households as a result of energy bills, and that will provide downward pressure.
Is it so? It's not a tax; it's a levy instead because it provides a net benefit to the people.
Neither, because it is a net benefit to New Zealand households.
Like honestly, I almost feel sorry for him. This is why you say be careful. And this is for commentators, and this is for you guys watching, and for the people in there. Be careful who you give your loyalty to, because what happens when they change their positioning, you look like a goose. It's happening in America with Trump at the moment, when all of a sudden there was problems in Minneapolis, and Trump was throwing all those people under the bus for that nurse that got killed, and all of a sudden his spokespeople look like absolute twats. It's happening here. Simon Watts, it's the technical political term. I'm sure, Craig, this is too highbrow for you, and you'll learn about it as you become a politician, but he looks like a bright fucking twat right now, having to say the opposite of what he said yesterday.
What happened to no new taxes?
This isn't a tax, this is a levy in order to develop, to fund a key piece of infrastructure.
I'll quote from Nicola Willis directly. It's a quote you might want to go back and find. If it looks like a tax and it quacks like a tax, it's a tax.
They are absolutely right. The only reason we are progressing this policy is the definitive device that it will reduce household electricity costs.
It's not going to save households money. Imposing a new tax on every household in the country is going to cost households more.
Chris Hipkins sat at the cabinet table and said, let's ban gas exploration. Well,
yes.
You know what? Your decisions have a price.
What is the difference? Why is it a levy, not a tax?
This policy announcement results in a net savings to Kiwi households.
Lots of taxes that presumably do result in net savings. For example, building roads that obviously
I've asked you your question 3 times. It is neither. It is a net savings to Kiwi households.
If it walks like a tax, if it quacks like a tax.
I am not going to tolerate Chris Hipkins claiming that we are taxing people when we are actively reducing the energy bills after the mess left to us by the last
But you're not.
Your documentation yesterday said it would be funded by a levy. Are you backtracking on that it's a levy?
No, we're not.
But there will be a levy on electricity bills.
The way in which the broader model is structured, we work through with the commercial.
I wish one of the reporters, now they didn't know this, would have had yesterday saying, could you just read the top line there of your report from yesterday? Could you just read that top line for us that talks about it being funded by a levy? Now, is it a levy, sir? No. It's neither a levy nor a tax.
Negotiations which are ongoing, but the outcome that Kiwi households and Kiwi businesses will see is a net savings.
Just to clarify, there's not been a change since yesterday in how the infrastructure is proposed to be funded?
No, there's not.
No change since yesterday. Yesterday was a levy. Today, not a levy nor a tax. Hi, Craig. Welcome back to the lunacy that is our world.
Thank you. In Treasury jargon, sometimes when we're trying to find words for things that aren't a tax or a levy, we call them a revenue imposition.
So that'll be tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow. It's a revenue imposition.
I think the words they were looking for was that this is another revenue imposition. It's not a tax, it's not a levy, it's just an imposition.
Craig, before we get in, let's get into things first. I've got the documents you sent me. I'll show you what I've got, and then you can sort of take over, and you can drive the ship. Me and Chewy can jump into the back seat and go with Dad for a trip down memory lane. I've got this one, which we'll call the release. I've got this one, which is the fact sheet, and then I've got this one which wouldn't give me anything in this screen here. I'm not sure whether it's supposed to or not, and I even tried it with a direct link from your email, and it wouldn't give me anything there. I don't know if that's going to be useful or not, but that's what.
If you click on the natural gas button,
yep,
that's there. One down there. Yep.
I certainly need a new mouse. Is that the one you want?
No, it's the one of the things we can do in the background to see if we can find. I'll find it and I'll send it to you again. But we can come back to that one. Long story short, if we go to the press release today.
Yep. Just quietly, I need a new frickin' mouse. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Talked about that last year. Here we go. Release.
Fantastic. I was fascinated.
Hang on. Just let me say, Chewy, if there is anyone in your house that will be fearful of you exploding, warn them now. I've talked to Craig about this afternoon. This is shocking. What we're about to hear is shocking.
That's okay. She's used to noises from this room.
Cleaning up the mess. All right, off you go, Craig.
We can't afford to clean in this economy, not with the price of electricity. So one of the things, before we go anywhere, right, sort of, is $50 a lot? As you've said, it's not a lot. It's not actually a lot of money. The average household spends $2,343 a year on electricity alone.
$200 a month.
$200 a month. Last year, the average household spent an extra $281 just in 1 year on electricity. That's how much it went up by, 12.1%.
Wow.
Right. So before we go any further, there is something fundamentally wrong with our electricity market and our electricity system. We are a country that still uses electricity infrastructure built during the Muldoon period of think big projects to keep the lights on. We haven't generated any net new electricity in this country for 10 years. We've taken an extra 1 million people during that period. Our economy has risen by 30% in terms of output, but we're all using 13% less electricity than we were 10 years ago each. And the reason for that is cost. And the reason for that is partly some new things are more efficient than some old gadgets and some old bits.
Light bulbs and that kind of stuff would add to that, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Heat pumps. But you imagine, all the new electric cars on the road. There's been a 10,000% increase over that 10-year period in the number of new electric cars on the road. All the new electric gadgets that we use, all of our new electric cookers, the heat pumps. We should be using more electricity rather than less, but we're generating an identical amount of electricity, 44,000 gigawatt hours per year, and the amount of that which is renewable is pretty static across that 10-year period. So essentially, the market is stuck in one place. And what this LNG proposal is doing is it's supposed to be trying to kick us out of that stuck place. The problem is it totally misses the mark. It totally misses the point. Because that $50 a year saving, it's going to cost us up to $180 million a year to lease a gas terminal. We're not going to build it. We're going to lease it. Now, that's across a 15-year period, which is the expected life expectancy of this gas terminal. That's not $1 billion, as is claimed in the press release.
It's close to $3 billion.
That is $2.7 billion and change. At which point, your costs then go, that might not work. Okay, but that $50 saving is premised upon an electricity price, which is very erratic. So right now, if you go to the international markets, it'll cost you about $3.50 US for a gigawatt hour. A BTU. Of electricity of gas of liquefied natural gas. between 2021 and 2023, the price of that gas quadrupled because Russia invaded the Ukraine.
Yeah.
So we are signing our energy security to a product that moves up and down enormously depending upon geopolitical risk. And guess what we have lots of right now?
So we're putting, like I said at the start of the show, I'm not sure we're putting our power infrastructure and our generating into the hands of private companies from America with a volatile substance that prices may fluctuate massively depending on the geopolitical stabilization of the word, whether it's stable or not.
It is not only a volatile product, it has a volatile price. And it is, it goes up and down depending upon whether or not, other countries, because right now there are also lots of other countries chasing this LNG. And the biggest export, the biggest provider of it would be Australia, next door to us, possibly the markets in Singapore. But the thing is, this doesn't generate a single watt, if you excuse the pun, of any new electricity.
Jesus.
It just simply keeps the existing gas infrastructure that we have going for a bit longer that would otherwise have gone to electricity.
So it's a band-aid. This isn't
what this
job
is doing,
creation.
This is topping up the system that we've got that's already using gas. And so it's just providing for, rather than going, okay, gas is winding down, let's look for an alternative to fill that void. They've gone, we're just going to continue to fill that void with this volatile product, volatile pricing structure, private companies out of America.
To use a slightly distasteful metaphor.
Craig, please don't.
You're amongst friends.
Rather than getting someone off heroin, it's attempting to solve their problems by temporarily giving them some more heroin.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So what we're doing is we're subsidizing. So all those people who have gas infrastructure, we're subsidizing, and everyone's going to do this, subsidizing the lifespan of their gas infrastructure so that they don't go electric, because we don't have the electricity generating capacity, because we haven't built the electricity generating capacity for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, I see.
All the while, we're still paying some of the most expensive electricity in the world. In a country
that's something. That's something I had a question about. Over 80% of our electricity generation is renewable. Right? And there's certainly multiple cases a year where the gentailers are spilling water out of the hydro dams because they're full. And that's usually at an inconvenient time. They can't generate power from it because we don't need any. We've got no place to store it. Right?
Yeah.
So the other thing that I read today that goes hand in hand with that is, even with 85% of our generation being renewable, our spot prices for electricity are derived from the current price of gas. Are you familiar with that?
It's worse than that. Our
spot
prices. So our market for electricity pricing is set by the last kilowatt hour of electricity that's put into the market. That's normally Huntly coal-fired power station. Huntly is the most expensive electricity in the country. And so if you're running a hydro plant, you're going to get Huntly's price at your hydro plant's cost. So you make a lot of profit between those two things. But if you took Huntly offline because you had enough electricity, everyone's prices would fall.
Craig, I think we need to also get to the part that you and I talked about this afternoon, which is the comparisons because this is I would like to see Chewy explode tonight even more.
So-
We're not to the worst of it, Chewy. To the comparisons, I've still got that document up if you need it, or you just let me know.
Please do. So stay with me. So there was a press release that went out today. On the side of that press release was another document, which was a briefing note, which was produced to support this, which is called the LNG fact sheet. Now, for those of you desperately following along at home, if you go to page 3, because as I've taught your listeners and viewers for long, start at the bottom, work your way up. Because they always hide stuff at the very end. So you go to the very, very last section and you go to LNG versus alternative options considered.
Which you think, okay, some credit needs to be given. They've done their due diligence, right? So let's check their due diligence, because it's important to know what the alternatives are. I mean, because we've been talking about it, it's really easy. This government is smart. You know, it's going to be solar and wind and battery. We'll figure it out. Let's see the alternatives. Over to you, Craig.
So the alternatives that were for illustrative options were taken to compare with LNG. New thermal generation to run on either coal or biomass. Right? A combination of new and converted peaking plant that would run, God help us, on diesel.
Welcome to the 1920s.
A portfolio, even the Chathams doesn't run on diesel anymore. A portfolio option comprising a new unit at Huntly Power Station, new and converted diesel peakers, and a demand response, i.e. we would turn off some power users, like some companies at some points in time.
And that, and as you've just pointed out, to reiterate, that's Huntly is the most expensive power in the country, and they're saying, hey, let's use some of those most expensive places some more. So this is one of their comparisons. Yep, let's keep going.
Yep, and then a combination of LNG importation and refurbishing the Taranaki combined cycle plant. Now, it's called refurbishing the Taranaki combined cycle plant because the Taranaki combined cycle plant is at the end of life. It is closed.
So let's make this clear, right? The LNG versus alternatives options considered. I'm assuming that they have to do that if they're bringing out a post. They're going to have to consider things. What they considered it to, Chewy, is coal or biomass, diesel, Huntly Power Station, or an end-of-life cycle plant. That was the comparisons they did to work their numbers.
And so let's go to the first line of the bullet underneath. Other options, including renewable projects, were considered but not advanced due to a range of factors, including expected time to construct, which is clearly nonsense, bearing in mind we can put rooftop solar in places tomorrow. Feasibility of generating power reliably on the required scale, well, that's an arguable ask. And my personal favorite, effects on electricity market incentives.
Oh, that sounds like capitalist conversations to me. That sounds like business profits. We don't want to affect business profits, Craig.
Correct. That is essentially saying the incentives for the market to exist as it currently is would be challenged if we generated a huge amount of new renewable energy. And as a consequence, we might not need Huntly on. Therefore, people might not decide to invest in the electricity market because the giant profits that currently exist, they wouldn't be able to get because the profits would be lower.
Nationalise it. Nationalise it. They've had to go.
Let's just make this real clear. They chose to compare it to coal, diesel, Huntly Power, and an end-of-life cycle plant, and they refused to compare it to renewable projects because profits to big business. That's what this report says.
To be fair to them, profits, expected time to construct, and they would argue the feasibility of you being able to bring a lot of renewable energy online.
Dude, if you went to China, who I'm reliably informed by a wee hairy man beneath me is one of the best generators of solar panels in the world at the moment, and said, hey, what could you do in the next 12 months? You really think it's going to be like I couldn't do anything. Couldn't do anything next 12 months to get this up and off the ground. Come on.
Well, also, they talk about the plant being developed in 27, but the discussion from the ministers today was 27, early 2028. So we have a while away yet. And then if we could just very last time, sorry, Pat, just go back to that last one. Just to go at the very last bullet, the second to last bullet point there. LNG was found to be lower at electricity prices at relatively low capital cost and spillover benefits, blah, 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 blah. A key advantage of LNG over alternatives is that it simply adds a fuel option without, kill me now, locking in new generation capacity or requiring direct investment in the electricity market, which would be more likely to crowd out private sector investment.
It's
So it means
it's about the shareholders.
So it means we don't have to future-proof our electricity sector. It adds nothing to that. And, you know, there's some money to be made for some private investors.
Correct.
That's this government. That's our government looking for a solution to our energy sector issues. Our power consumption and our price of power is saying that we got to make sure there's good profits there for private investors.
So we have a problem in this country, a long-established problem in this country with generation. We don't have enough generation. We haven't built any new generation. We had an opportunity with $1 billion, cough, $2.7 billion, to build an awful lot of generation, which would have had an awful lot of spillover benefits in terms of energy security, insulation, a whole bunch of other things. Instead, we've wazzed it in the hope that international LNG gas prices remain where they are. And we hope that in the future that, nobody demands any more electricity. We don't have any more electric cars. We don't have any more electricity need, because that $50 saving will disappear because electricity inflation in this country is 12.1% and rising. We have 360,000 households in New Zealand who live in energy poverty. None of this solves any of that problem. And so we've got a job of work to do, because right now, this not only doesn't solve that problem, it actively makes our carbon problem worse. We've got to bear in mind, this is a fossil fuel we're using.
Yeah.
And we're doing so having deliberately designed in the system away any competition from potential renewable energies, because it was inconvenient to the existing electricity market.
Craig, I don't hold journalists and reporters probably feet to the fire as much as we could, but my understanding is no one's talked about this yet, literally from their press release. Is that as you understand it?
To the best of I've been locked in rooms all day, but to the best of my knowledge, it is frankly bananas. What you have done is you have said, we want to take a highly volatile product. We want to use it, which has a highly volatile price, because we think it might at some point in time reduce the cost of gas at some point, which we should be getting out of anyway, because it's an old technology. And instead of using that as an opportunity to deliver a just transition for those affected workers, those affected places, we instead double down on it so that it's somebody else's problem in the future. And that future person is more handsome and capable than we are.
So here's the obvious question before we wrap this up, Craig. Everyone can see it's flawed. They can see it's flawed by the Irish dancing they're doing today around the word levy, no levy. Winston Peters says it's a tax. Why do you think, honest hell belief, are they doing this? I mean, what would $1 billion do setting up a farm of solar panels in Marlborough or somewhere like that? What would that do?
$1 billion, $2.7 billion, lest we forget,
sure.
Would buy a lot. It would certainly buy a lot of home insulation, would certainly buy a lot of home improvements, which would actually reduce electricity demand for a whole bunch of households, which would actually have the secondary benefit of making them better off year after year after year.
So why are they doing this? What's it all
honest
about?
Answer? Because Cabinet cannot agree. Cabinet can't agree, right, to do the thing that is necessary, which is either to go for a renewable energy strategy that works. Stop pretending that if you can just make some consenting happen earlier, that new renewable energy will turn up. We've had consents for renewable energy projects that have been out for years that still have never been delivered. Work with iwi and other post-settlement entities where there is geothermal energy available, because that can be your peaking plant, right? Because it's always on, right? 3, direct Crown investment in this stuff, because it's saving jobs, it's saving lives, and it's reducing the cost of living at a time when we absolutely need it. But there's not a cat in hell's chance of ACT, New Zealand First, and National all agreeing to that strategy around the cabinet table. They're all going to agree to different things, and this is how we end up with this, frankly, mess of a policy.
This is the exact example of a camel is a horse designed by committee. Right, this is the exact example of that. What you're saying is that this is the byproduct of a dysfunctional government that's asking the voter to put them back in for another 3 years.
Absolutely. This is essentially the only thing that they could all agree on. And so therefore they did that, because NZ First probably wouldn't buy a bar of going for a renewable energy strategy. ACT wouldn't have a bar of anything that was market intervention, stopping profit centres. National probably wouldn't have couldn't get anything through the House without either of those two parties around the table. So that's how you end up with this, frankly, homeopathic energy policy.
It's a Frankenstein model. Yeah. It's just, look, and let me just say something that I've just realized whilst talking. Everyone talks about that little party, and you might be in this position in 9 months, Craig, should you win your seat. The smaller parties wagging the doll. The smaller parties on the left, right, even some that are having a bit of a tumult right now, are never going to be, if this is the reason, are never going to be this far apart on these issues as these three are, if this is the reason. Like, you're not going to get Te Pāti Māori, the Greens and Labour at opposite ends of the spectrum talking about what should we do with energy. There might be some differences from one end. The Greens might want to push more, but they're not going to be so far apart that we the people are left with a Frankenstein version of what we should have.
I don't want to speak for the Greens or for Te Pāti Māori, and to be frank, I don't want to speak for Labour's energy spokesperson. I'll let them speak to that. But what I would say is that
that's my observation. My observation is it wouldn't be.
Yeah, what my observation is that all three of those parties want energy that works for New Zealanders. They want energy that people can afford to have. They want to reduce the incidence of child poverty, of energy poverty. They want to make sure we have better energy security so we can have the good long-term jobs that we're losing in places like Tokoroa right now, precisely because of the lack of an energy strategy. This is not only good economics, this is good spending, and this generates better outcomes for New Zealanders than levying everyone so that we can, frankly, keep our technology going, which around the rest of the world, people are getting out of.
Craig, we're going to leave it there because we've got a couple of things to talk about. Thank you for your time tonight. Do you want to spend 30 seconds talking about what your podcast is going to be this week?
Yes, of course. So I want to talk about the unemployment numbers and the fact that the 5.4 number, the 5.4% number of unemployment in this country is doing an awful lot of heavy lifting. People are looking at that number, but when we peel that number apart, very quickly we realize that actually things are much, much worse than that 5.4 number suggests, and we'll demonstrate quite how bad that is by looking at things like participation, by migration, by wages, to demonstrate the true level of unemployment in New Zealand being much, much, much higher.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us some time tonight. I will see you tomorrow morning. Everyone else will probably see you on. Did we used to put your podcast out on Thursday afternoons? It was, wasn't it? Thursday afternoons, yeah. All right, so we'll catch you tomorrow. Everyone else will catch you on Thursday. Thank you for, and as we always say, you know, we are a depressive couple of people, me and Chewy, and you depress even us. So thank you for that with your facts and figures. No, that's actually really interesting because this is information that people need. I mean, there are people already saying, clip this shit like Luke does. So, yeah, we will definitely be clipping this backwards and forwards and up and down, and there'll be TikToks and shorts and full things. And people, what you do with this, your job, Whānau, watching this, is to then share those clips, to get them around, to pass them on, to put them on your racist Uncle Bob's Facebook page. And a well-informed electorate is what we need. There will always be underinformed. There will always be ill-informed ignorance within the community. But as we can inform as many people as possible, if we can lead them to the water, they may not drink, but it's still our job to lead them there, to give them the opportunity to drink. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
All the best.
Yes, Craig.
Catch you soon. We'll see you tomorrow. So, Chewy, you were quite reserved. I'm almost scared of a quiet Chewy more than than an explosion Chewy, but you heard it.
I'm furious. Like,
yeah.
the thing is, the way that democracy should work, or our democracy should work, right? Even if they're not our team, even if I've got some disagreements in policy or the way that they do things, you kind of still hope that even if the opposition team are in charge for a bit, that at least in their heart of hearts, they have the best interests of most New Zealanders at heart. I do not see that in any aspect of this government, and this is just the latest example.
Yeah.
This government has enormous powers to change things.
Yeah.
Right? And they exercised those powers when they took office, and they shut down a whole bunch of Labour started programs to look at the electrification of business, how we could get these businesses off gas, how do we lessen our reliance on fossil fuels, all to build a roadmap where we're going. All of those things that Craig mentioned, that there hasn't been a huge amount of generation built, right? They shit-canned those at the same time that they shit-canned Lake Oslo. They have brought in fast track, and there are some renewable projects in there, and hopefully they'll get passed. There's an addition to a big wind farm down here in Otago. Hopefully that goes through. But one of them was there was going to be a big wind farm off Taranaki. And then a mining company says, we'd quite like to mine the bottom of the sea, just completely strip mine the ocean. And so that wind farm went away because you can't have both things, right? So they pulled out. We have some geothermal, and we built that in the 80s and the 90s, and it's kind of an experiment, and then nothing happened. And there's been suggestions of something called supercritical geothermal, where you go deeper and hotter and generate more steam for more production. By all accounts, we're probably the most perfect place in the world to try this.
Yeah.
There's been no government money towards that. But we do have government money. We're calling it $1 billion, but as Craig said, it's actually 2.7 billion.
On that point, it's not just Craig either. I saw a chat here, sorry. Sasha says Bernard Hickey, obviously.
Yeah.
2 gigawatts worth of generation and storage for $2.7 billion, which is the equivalent of about 4 Benmore dams worth, and enough to power 2.5 million households for a year. So this money put into solar or wind or whatever it ended up being looks like what he's saying. And I've actually got the story here, which I haven't read yet, obviously, because I've just grabbed it. Half of New Zealand, well, best part of half of New Zealand.
Bernard Hickey's, I think it's Substack, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on that.
He usually puts things out free, and then if there's enough, paid, and then if there's enough interest in the story, he makes it free. He's made this free earlier this afternoon, and it's a really good read. The Kaka by Bernard Hickey on Substack. I urge everyone to go and read it. There's also a really excellent Radio New Zealand piece that was written last year that was digging into where this whole big push for LNG has come from. And it really seems like it's coming from America. Because
it sounds like the power
is kind of turning away from it.
It sounds like the power equivalent power, as in generating power, of those wet cigarette things from one place for one reason who really want to do it. You know, the sucky wet cigs, those ones.
Yeah, boiled cigarettes. And look, this just seems, I don't like using red string to join a whole bunch of disparate things together. But it really does seem, when you put this into perspective of the weaponry that we're buying from America, the backroom deals we're doing with on minerals with America, the fact that we have an FBI office here now that we didn't get told about until the last minute. The Prime Minister didn't get told about until the last minute. The fact that so many of our members of the current government are very, very pally with members of the Trump administration. This whole thing where apparently all signs point to us buying LNG from America. They are pulling us closer and closer to the US at a time where we should be going, I don't know about this. At a time where we shouldn't be bringing on stream more fossil fuel sources, because we know it's bad. We know it's bad. We know it's short term. There is no other answer in my mind that this government is corrupt. I remember years ago, Pat, I worried about using that word. I don't anymore. There's no other answer for it. When other options are cheaper and more long-term and have a better effect for every New Zealander that uses electricity, why are we going down this path? Why are there still new build housing that is going in plumbed for gas? Why are those new builds not covered in solar panels? None of that is mandated.
Let's get to some super chats. And as everyone is saying, clip that. I can see that literally as we talk, Nabby is doing verticals. So Nabby, I hope you've got some time tomorrow to do some more, because we'll get that out as quick as we can. I suspect what you guys have gotten kind of first will be across media tomorrow. This will be on the questions on the tiles tomorrow.
Sorry, just real quick before you go on to this. I just want to show you a really good example of where a government could be making a difference. I saw this story on RNZ about a new high-tech manufacturing plant opens in Canterbury. All very good news, right? Job to Holly. In this story, it mentions that this building here is 8,000 square meters.
Wow.
And it's a high-tech company. Do you see a single solar panel on that roof?
Do not.
We're missing out. The sun on it now is just being wasted.
Yeah. Speed locked for $10. Thank you for the super chat. Just says vote. Agreed. That's the answer. If the left vote, since levies are okay but taxes aren't, wealth levy. There you go. We're getting there. We're figuring out our language, aren't we? Where is the LNG coming from? Australia has LNG supply crisis due to greedy exports. Yeah, America. We got told yesterday, or the news said yesterday, the battle's going to be China with renewables. Ironically, what Trump is doing, right? One of the things that Trump is doing is causing the world to flee towards China. Who would have thought that 20 years ago? But whether it's EVs, whether it's helping with infrastructure, whether it's fleeing towards China. What does it say, Chippy?
But this is from journalist Kirsty Johnson, who does excellent work. Bit late to it, but if you want to know the chain of events that led us to importing gas and charging electricity users to pay for it, I did this deep dive for RNZ last year. The fuel of last resort, how imported gas becomes New Zealand's first choice. I'm going to drop that in the chat in our Discord I did earlier. So
cool.
It's a really good read.
All right. Another one from Speedlocked. National NACTs cannot back out of gas oil because without giving Greens a massive vote of confidence, they cannot afford that. So double down on dumb shit. Gold says, Craig, if this is a levy and not a tax, does that mean it will attract GST? And then someone else says, I've just Googled if levies attract GST, and yes, it does. Oh my God, we are going to be hit massively. AKA the cat. So correct me if I've got this wrong, but if there isn't lots of rain to fill the lakes, does that not mean there will be more solar? I do actual the actual Anyway,
see, this is the whole idea about not putting all your eggs in one basket, which ironically is the argument about energy resilience, right? Because if you just talk about wind power, they go, well, what happens when the wind's not blowing? Well, then you have sun or you have rain. Wind, sun, and rain. When was the last time that you can remember none of those things happening?
Or tides. You can put those turbines in the water,
Yeah.
and they go in and out with that doesn't stop, funnily enough, guys. That'll never. There's one thing, whether it's rainy or sunny or windy, the water will always come in and always go out, creating currents.
So here's what I want you to think about. Those hydro lakes, which we think of as generation, what they are batteries. The fuller the lake, the fuller the battery. So if we changed our thinking from thinking of that being our primary electricity generation, right? And we look at micro generation through home solar or grid scale solar farms in conjunction with batteries. So we have a place to park excess generation for a time that we need it. That is the missing piece here.
Yeah. All right, let's get, because there's still quite a few chats. Let's get through these before we run. All clips the shit, says Luke. We will be, and you will be passing it around. Who wrote the terms of reference for this briefing? That's a very interesting question, Peter. Ian says, CNG isn't LPG, isn't LNG. What other uses for LNG? You said you did a bit of a deep dive. Did you come up with anything today, Chewy? Was there anything that you, any other uses for it?
So Methanex turning it into methanol is one use. But it can be used for, it's just anything that can be burned. So if you look around the country, the big users of gas have been the dairy industry. Heating in hospitals is often through gas, gas generators, gas furnaces. Same with schools and stuff like that. It's all of those sort of bigger users for heating. So yeah, it's like looking at ways of solving those things. Schools are a great example. Schools have lots of roof space.
Yeah, I wonder about a policy
They're also owned by the state.
A political party that says every government building, school, hospital, whatever that we own, so maybe not a rented office for Winds or something, but that we own, will be covered in solar panels. There's a starting point. That will put more power, as you say, micro generating. There's a question about that coming up as well. AKA Decat, I wonder what Atlas partner will be selling us our farts. Brian says, love to see Nikki stand in the same seat as Craig. Yeah, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? XL Dear, Chewy, how much for your solar panels? How many houses do you get for 1 billion? I actually did this for me today, Chewy, out of interest. So you don't have to reveal what you paid for your solar panels?
Oh, no, I'm fine with it. Already answered this in the chat. My solar install cost $17,000.
Does that include fixing the roof? You wanted to fix the roof as well?
No, so I did a new roof at the same time because it's smart. So
the reason
it was 40,000.
Yeah, the reason I asked that about the thing is because I use a lot of power because of the studio and the printing gear and stuff, and so
you use it during the day, don't you?
I use between 1,500 and 2,300 kilowatts a month, which is quite a significant amount. It's not a massive user, but it's not a small user. So I did a thing today online for battery option as well. So being on-grid battery, being able to provide, and it said 13.5 kilowatts. A 13.5 kilowatt system would set me back 17,000. But that feels bigger than yours, and you said 17,000. Unless they're just trying to give me a phone call so they can then say, actually, once you add this, that's 29,000.
Yeah. So I did a lot of comparisons, and I had a lot of people come around for quotes. And the thing that I was told is, at the moment, for the most part, batteries don't make sense for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I could be convinced on this, but it's because of the return on investment. How long does it take for something to pay itself off? I put on my roof more panels than I needed. We're exporting most of the time. I make more power than I use, essentially. I think I've got 18 panels up there. It cost me $17,000 installed. I funded it through a green loan from the bank, so like 2%.
Do you know how many kilowatts it is? Like, what's the size of your system?
I would have to look it up, but I can find it.
No dramas.
But yeah, it came on stream halfway through December. I think at this rate, it has made me about $250 in that time. And it has changed the way that we use our power here. Now, my wife works from home reasonably often. I work business hours, but we moved stuff like doing our washing and putting the dishwasher on and that sort of thing. Charging our cars during the day. If it's a sunny day, we'll do that. And it is having an effect on our power bill. The proof in the pudding will be winter. Kind of what you want is to have enough generation and getting rebates and stuff like that to cover your winter energy spend.
Gotcha.
Where batteries come into it is because they're so much more expensive, that lengthens the time it takes to pay everything off. But there's a benefit from a resilience point of view.
Yeah, in an ideal world, and I'm not saying we're going to do this. I don't think I'm going to get solar for the house I'm in now, but maybe if we were in another house once the kids are gone. I think in an ideal world, the over preparation is if you've got a battery, then you've got a day or two of power. Should your power go down, then you'd be out of.
And that's very appealing to me.
That's all.
I really like that idea.
But then living in the city, I haven't been without power for 2 days ever. So, I mean, if you're living in the country and it snows and that, I mean, okay, sure. But anyway, Laura, I think it's Laura Kiwi Bird says, we need the woke to fix the broke. And Wahiki says, yep, Craig, my iwi, considering how we use our whenua to generate power, wind a definite option. Right. And if we're all done, we're going to keep trucking. We'll go back to this other part of the story with Chippy. He was on breakfast this morning and he was talking about Moa Point, and Chippy, rightfully so, linked it directly to Three Waters and how this government threw away Three Waters. Now, let me make this very, very clear. Three Waters would not have stopped Moa Point, but what Three Waters would have done is delivered the path and the answer to how to fix Moa Point within the next few years. At the moment, they're having a fucking inquiry. Okay, so that'll take the next year, and then you'll have to start coming up with a solution. If Three Waters was in place and we had a Labour-led government, then that would have been signed, sealed, and delivered. Well, it would have been signed and sealed. Wouldn't have probably been delivered by now, but we would know how we were going to solve the problem with Moa Point because Three Waters is fixing the pipes for the Three Waters, which includes sewage, around New Zealand. So this question comes up this morning in breakfast.
Did you put some of this down to the fact that there has been this toing and froing from what was going to be Three Waters and then became local water done well? Do you think that has played a part?
I would like to ask Mr. Luxon, when she says it's become water done well, what does that mean, Mr. Luxon? What does it become? What's the tangible? What's the tangible thing? What does it come? What does it become? I mean, people love to say, "Oh, Labor never put a single brick up when it comes to the hospital." Blah blah blah. It's like, okay, so what is good water done well? Because it's become that. What does it become? What is it? What's the tangible part of that?
Well, the government's decision to scrap the Three Waters reforms undoubtedly is costing ratepayers up and down the country a lot of increase in rates at the moment. And New Zealand households will be feeling that. We had a plan to contain rates increases by reforming water and getting the money going where it needs to go to fix up our water infrastructure. The current government came in, scrapped that, caused huge uncertainty, wrote off millions of dollars that had been invested in reforming the system. Ultimately, households are the ones who are paying the cost of that.
So you're saying this whole thing was avoidable to a point?
Hard to say.
Yeah, good on Chippy for not saying yes, because you can't say that Moa Point was avoidable. But what you can say is, but we already had a solution in place. That's what you could have said. These guys have nothing.
In this particular case, because we don't know what's caused this. We don't know whether, in fact, it was just that warning signs were missed, and that there are ways that that those involved could have avoided this catastrophe from happening, or whether it's a result of underinvestment over a long period of time.
I'm going to play one more clip from this morning, and that is actually just to give you all a heads up. If you're having conversations as to what, I'm not saying you're a Labour supporter watching, by the way, but the Labour Party will be the biggest party post-election on the left. If you're looking at the polls now, they may well be the biggest party. But they have an election slogan, and it's very clear what they want people to remember when they're talking, and this is it.
What are you going to push for election year? What's going to be your selling point?
I'm going to be focused on the issues that Kiwis have told us they want to see us focused on: jobs, health, homes, and action on the cost of living. There's no question that people are really struggling with the cost of living. Unemployment's going up. It's getting harder and harder for people to be able to buy a home, and healthcare's getting harder to access. They want to know that New Zealanders have told us they want to know that the government's got a plan to tackle those things. That's exactly what Labour will be focused on.
So you got that again, Whānau. If you want it and you want to understand what what they're about this year, or they say they're about this year.
They want to see us focused on jobs, health, homes, and action on the cost of living.
Jobs, health, homes, cost of living. Jobs, health, homes, cost of living. Jobs, health, homes, cost of living. That's going to be Labour's catch cry for the year. It's not quite eat my shorts, but it's all right, Chewy.
He has missed one.
I'm thinking a country. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a solid fucking greatest hits. Like,
yeah.
I know we like to bag on Labour and Chippy for being sometimes not brave enough, but you can't argue with the effectiveness of that message in the majority of the electorate right now.
Yeah. And actually it is interesting how it's sort of also it does a little bit catch cry back to the Greens, one of the Greens policies last year or last session, which was affordable quality housing is a right. They're sort of in the same park. Now, I it's not the same, and it's not about, getting that exactly the same. Affordable quality housing is a human right, but it's in there. Jobs, homes, health. Homes and health is at affordable quality. That's why you want them affordable and quality for the health and for the home. So, when they did their stand-up at Waitangi together, when I asked Rawiri about that, he kind of laughed and chuckled, and I saw a write-up on it from Heather Duplessis Allen. I'm not sure if it was, but it was from let's say a commentator who sits more on the right. I can't remember the exact person it was, saying that was not embarrassing for the Greens, but the Greens, they gave away a little bit of their power doing a stand-up with Labour. I'm paraphrasing badly, but they were saying it was a bit of an embarrassment for the Greens to do that. What they were saying, it was more beneficial to Labour than it was to the Greens to have that hand-holding idea. I don't know about that, but it was we'll look at these perspectives as we go through the year. Anything, Chewy?
No, nothing other than I've already said that's a good greatest hits.
Waiheke, local water done well. What it means is no Māori allowed. Yeah, I think you've pretty much nailed that. Absolutely nailed it. Let's get to the last story then. And this is a special story just for Chewy, because everybody knows how much Chewy has a soft spot for old Sonny boy.
Has he filled his pockets, has he?
Old Sonny boy. The Retail Crime Advisory Group disbands 4 months early. And you might go 4 months. No. It's only 4 months out of 2 years. They still did sort of what they were planning on doing. Let's have a look at the story from One News from tonight. I'm going to refresh this, and it's going to want to play an advert, isn't it? And we'll have a look, shall we? Yes, it's going to play an advert. So we'll let that play that advert while we chat over it. So it's a pretty embarrassing situation, and a lot of it comes down to the personality of Sonny Cashel, it would appear, as to why it's actually gone tits up.
Retail crime has been a priority for this government. They appointed this man to chair a tough-on crime advisory group.
We're not getting the picture.
This crime genie back into the bottle. Now it's happening.
Are you not getting the picture?
No visuals. No visuals.
Okay, so TVNZ's done this thing. We'll just listen to it, and we will talk about it. So let's have a listen, because TVNZ has blocked the imagery being used. Here we go.
Crime genie back into the bottle.
Now it's having to show them some tough love.
The plan was to have them working for 2 years, finishing in September. As we saw over the summer, 3 out of the 5, for a variety of reasons, left early. And so I thought I just made the pragmatic response, which is to finish them in 3 months.
This is no surprise to New Zealanders. From day one, Sonny Kushal and that group has been a real problem for this government.
Retail NZ's representative quit the group, accusing the chair, Sonny Kushal, and his associates of personal attacks.
That's why we decided to leave. 1, because it was unhealthy for me to stay in that environment, and 2, we weren't
Head of
achieving the
Retail
outcomes
New
that we were
Zealand.
hoping to achieve.
Were you concerned by Sonny Koshal's behaviour?
No.
Sonny Kushal says he's relaxed about the group wrapping up early. He wanted to deliver action and not talk. The minister maintains his group's done well.
The advisory group have come up with some very good ideas that the government is implementing.
Sonny gave all of those ideas to our government for free when we were in government, and this government has paid millions of dollars for the same ideas that were advised as dangerous from...
So that's a really important point, yeah? So the previous government, the Labor government, got all these ideas from Sonny Kushal, and they took them under advisement, they investigated them, and all the professions and all the professionals said these ideas are really harmful, really dangerous, and really bad. This government said, hey, we'll pay you, what was it, Chewy, $1,500 a day or something, a large amount of money to get those same ideas that were basically too seriously bad for the last government to use under advice.
New Zealand Police.
No, I think that's a very uncharitable view of the situation.
Either way, this former member says the Justice Minister has made the right call in
Head of
shutting
Retail
it
New
down.
Zealand.
It's not really surprising, I guess, because we started off with 5 members. There's now only 2 members left of the advisory group. And both of those members represent the small end of town, so I guess it's not reflective of what broader retail looks like.
The last 2 members will finish up their work looking at facial recognition technology.
Have a listen to this. This is a bit of a throwaway line from TVNZ, but I think this is the scariest line. Sonny Kushal and the last remaining member, are finishing up their time there looking at 2 areas. Have a listen to what the areas are.
What broader retail looks like.
The last 2 members will finish up their work looking at facial recognition technology and boosting powers for security guards before wrapping up.
Facial recognition technology and boosting power for security guards. So giving security guards the ability to probably arrest and detain and do things they're not allowed to do now, remembering whilst they've got no training to do that, that's what that will be. And facial recognition security. That's just there. As they exit and go out after a couple of months to go, they're the last 2 big things they're going to be investigating, Julie. Yours, sir. He's your fave. That's why we did it.
Massive invasion of privacy and putting security guards either at extra risk or the public at extra risk of their reactions.
Or both. The public and security guards at extra risk.
So, like this was part of National's big plan to crack down on retail crime, ram raids, all of that sort of stuff. And look, they've been very, very vocal that ram raids are down, right? Did you know that ram raids were down?
Hadn't heard that, Joey.
Did you hear
ram
that?
rates down?
Did you hear that ram rates were down?
I heard
that. The actual graph is a little bit interesting. I got this from Mountain Tui today. Violent offences are up under National. Sexual assault of adults, up. Sexual assaults of children, up. Reoffending on bail, up. Drug-related offences, up. Homicides, up. So, are we safer? Goldsmith wants you to think that you're safer under National because they got rid of gang patches and because they're tough on crime and everybody's soft. But the stats say that that's not true.
But and also Mountain Tui has missed a big one there, and like Mountain Tui is doing good work at the moment, coming across my feed a lot. And we have an explosion of meth use in New Zealand, the likes of which the world has never seen. So meth use has gone through the roof, which of course is a driver of crime and things as well, under this government up. So yeah, give baby their bottle. Good on you. Ram raids are down. Well done. What about all these other things that are up significantly? What are you going to say about them?
No, we don't talk about those.
We don't talk
about that.
about
That's-
Bruno.
no.
They're our Bruno.
just talk-
We don't talk about Bruno.
There is another one, and I'm struggling to find the graph here, but it was the actual tracking of ram rates that the downward trend is a very linear downward trend, and it started under Labor.
Right. So there's so
ram
now
rates were always a flash in the pan. They were in
Unemployment?
vogue for a little
Up.
bit, and then they weren't. Police reacted to it, and it went away. So dumb. National treats everybody, including their own supporters, as being phenomenally stupid.
crack is back on track, says Big Old B. Like that one. Okay. I think we're done. Is there anything else you want to add to it? We actually had time to talk about some other things tonight. Look at us, eh? But maybe it's because we've just started the year. We haven't got, Chewy, I was about to say we haven't got the full wind behind us yet. If tonight's show is not the full wind, I fear for you all in the second half of the year.
God help you.
God help you all.
There were a couple of other questions about my solar setup. I had a look. You asked how many panels I had. I have 18 550 watt panels. So that gets me a smidge under 10 kilowatts of potential generation.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the sun moves, so you don't get all 10 watt. That's why you go bigger than you need. I also managed to talk myself into a slightly bigger inverter, so it does 7 kilowatts instead
That's
of
what they all say, though, Chewy. They all
Yeah,
say that. They all say I've got a bigger inverter than I first thought.
Now, Monday we had a reasonably sunny day here in Dunedin. I exported 40 kilowatts to the grid.
Okay, so that means you like, so if my house is, let's just say my house is doing 1,500 kilowatts a month, that means it's going to be 50 a day, because 100 a day would be 3,000. So I'm doing 50 kilowatts a day at 1,500 kilowatts. That would be how it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in other words,
it fluctuates a lot.
Sure, but on average. So that means, let's say, I mean, your house is got different power usage than mine. Let's say you're using 30 kilowatts in a day, which means you probably produce 70 kilowatts that day, use 30, sent back 40. Is that sort of how it goes?
Yeah, so I'm just looking at my daily usage. So that export that I did on Monday, where I exported 40 kilowatts, I used 8.
Wow.
The bigger days when people are home or it's a little bit colder.
Oh, of course.
26 kilowatts. My biggest usage this month was 39.
Okay.
It was a shitty day with both of us home.
Yeah.
But you know, like the biggest usage that I would see on a day is 39 kilowatts, and I'm able to pull that out of my panels. But yeah, the idea is to get it out to the grid as much as possible.
Do they
once
give you
everything
any
is fully charged?
Do they give you any estimation as to, like, if you can? That means if you had an 8 kilowatt, that means you've produced 50 kilowatts. Because if it was 8 and you sent 40 back, so you've produced 50. Is there any estimation, like during winter, do they say like it'll halve, or there's a rule or anything?
No, so the 8 is what I've pulled from the grid.
Yep.
8 is what I've paid for.
Okay, so you paid for
is what
8.
they've paid me for.
So it's a 32 net 32.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've generated 40. Is there any rule, or is there any kind of idea? Do they say you drop off by half in winter, or drops by 10%? No, in general, do you know?
Yeah, they reckon it's about half.
Okay. So a 40 kilowatt day in summer might be a 25 kilowatt day in winter, maybe.
Potentially, yeah.
Probably also depends where you are, because depending on how good you are with north facing and winter shade and that kind of stuff. But then, the difference now
all
is
of that stuff counts.
Yeah. All right. I'm learning. I don't think we'll do it in this place, but it's certainly on the agenda. I always thought, I never understood how when you build a house, they don't make some of these things compulsory. Like I would always think that if I was going to build a house, I'd want to drop a tank in the ground, even if it's not our main source of water to start with. Why would you not want to have self-sufficient water if you could? You know, switch a spigot, put a big spigot over, and then you're taking from the tank rather than from the street. Same with the power stuff.
It's from a resilience point of view again. Up in Wellington, the council had quite a good program of council subsidised rainwater gathering, because again, Wellington knows that it's going to get smashed by a fucking earthquake at some point.
Yeah. Humless says 40%. So half-ish.
Cool.
Nice. All right,
But
team.
yeah,
I think
once you get the graphs and you start monitoring it every day, I've got a new measure for a really nice sunny day. It's a $10 day. That's the most I've been paid on a single day.
you've been paid or you've paid?
No, that's my earnings from my exports. Was $10 on a really sunny day.
My goodness, I just heard you. I think I'm listening to us on thing. What's it called, dude?
That's my earnings from my exports.
Sorry, I'll turn that off. I knew what that was. First time that ever happened, I freaked out. I heard the theme song repeating back to me, and I'm like, what's going on? What? And I just had YouTube on. I had the delay in the background. I know that now. All right, Whānau. Now, I will just show you. We've got some guests coming up. I've got actually about 3 interview requests in with various people. Boop, go away. One of the ones I'm quite excited about, because we often talk about what's happening with, the economy, and Craig's talking about unemployment and all that. I want to try and flip the script a bit and talk about what can we do about it. So there's a couple of Whangarei sisters who have just started a new form of job-seeking website. 2 Whangarei sisters have launched an employment platform that aims to flip the recruitment model on its head. Instead of job seekers having to submit one soul-sucking job application after another, and employers having to sift through hundreds of applicants, the site's called You Will Find, is a candidate-focused database where employers can search through candidates and approach the most appropriate. So it's kind of the other way around. And Leah and Kirsty are going to join us on Thursday night to have a chat about it. I just thought there's some cool stuff happening out there. We don't have to just ignore the headline on New Zealand Herald up there. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but we don't need to pay attention to that right about now. I just thought it's an interesting story, and good news story about some people in New Zealand helping people get work, not just stories about how difficult it is to find work at the moment. Other than that, other stories we could have talked about tonight, Chewy, which we might touch on tomorrow. Did you see the Australian police beating peaceful protesters, punching and kicking, and
arresting Muslims at prayer?
At prayer, there is a lot going on at the moment, and the government having special law enforcement laws put in place that they could stop protests and that. It's all all because, of course, Israel has such a balanced and good meaning view of the world.
I had a wee comparison thought about that. When we've had a Chinese premier over here, and of course, people want to protest their human rights abuses or that sort of
Tibet
thing.
And that sort of thing?
Yeah, and we're always very careful to walk a line of going to these guests of like, well, look, people are allowed to protest here. That's part of our democracy. And the Chinese delegation usually resort to parking big buses so that they don't have to see them. But the protests are allowed to continue. Isn't this a case that would be similar? A premier coming over? It's a state visit. I don't actually have much criticism for Australia to allow this state visit to happen.
Because of the reason it's happening. It's because of the Bondi massacre. Yeah.
But they could have very clearly said, people are going to protest you because of your actions in Gaza.
And they're allowed
to. This is how they're allowed to.
Yeah.
This is how our democracy works. But they didn't.
Yeah. Yes. Well, as I said, Whānau, there's so much going on at the moment. We could do that tomorrow night. What we might have to do once a week, Chewy, is we might have to almost have a rapid fire night. Like maybe on a Thursday night, we can try and get through 10 stories that are short. Things you miss from the year that's gone.
We'd never do it. We'd never do it. I just have to sit here with the microphone on mute.
And we'll just Sorry, that was my fault. I pushed the wrong button. We haven't done these for a while.
See, when we finish up early, I start doing silly things.
It's not really early, though, is it?
I was actually looking for something else.
I was looking for something like, because then we could do like a 10-minute countdown, and then be like,
we're practicing for our debates.
We're about to solve world peace, and we have to move on. Sorry about the freak out with
the voice. I didn't quite think that was going to work. This used to be my Nicola Willis voice. I used to go.
If it clucks like a cluck and it clucky.
A second-hand Corolla. Remember?
Anyway. All right, guys. Yeah, I know. We find out the soundboard and then we play with it 10 minutes, then we don't touch it for 6 weeks. I should probably do something with it. I actually think that boggled sound effect from last night could be good when Luxon's speaking, just having rattle. Oh, words.
We need to wrap the show because I'm going to pee my pants.
Sorry. Thanks, Fano. Sure, you can go if you want. I'll just play the credits, and me and the Fano will hang out at the end.
I need to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry,
Chewy.
everybody. Sorry.
Sorry. Chewy's going for a Waz. Chewy's going for a Waz. He's off. He's off to see the Wizard, literally, for a Waz.
Help us settle it to be, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A and a sub and a higher in mind. All have a lean either this way or that, and will be analyzed by both Chewy and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. Big hairy news.
All right, team. That's it for me. Chewy may or may not be back tomorrow. Depends if he's finished pissing by then. He probably will have, but you know, he's an impressive man. And we'll catch you then as well. Have a good time. Be safe, one and all. Remember, if Chewy was here, if he hadn't have ditched us all to go urinate, he'd probably say something like, register to vote. Make sure you register to vote, because we got to vote. The left wins voting. Also, a big apology again to new patrons. We've had a problem getting the credits, as you can see, rolling up and going, which will hopefully be sorted out by this end of this weekend, and everyone else will be on there. So thank you for being a part of who we are. Love you all to bits, and we'll catch you tomorrow night from 9 p.m. for another edition of Big Hairy News. Hooroo!